The term lesbian means women who love women. It is a separate label specifically categorized for women who are attracted to women and women only. This includes transgender women because they are women. Being transgender does not eliminate whatsoever their identity as a woman.
I promise you that not a single trans woman in this world wants to have sex with your disgusting TERF ass. But when we say that you should be actually mindful about the things that you say about trans people and not say that it's a preference to not want to date us, it's not because we want access to your bodies and have entitlement. In fact, this is the sort of thing that TERFs say in order to make trans women seem like predatory men. What we are saying is that your preferences are based in transphobic dogma that has been spread by society for centuries. And your preferences are not biologically ingrained. It's not just, sorry, I don't like penises. It's, sorry that I have been conditioned by society to view penises as a male sexual organ, and I cannot fathom the fact that a trans woman's body is her own, and that whatever parts a trans woman has are women's parts. So just stop showing your ass on the internet and being transphobic, please, and read a book.
Up TERF.
Y'all are out here being lesbophobic, and it's really sad. Not liking male parts doesn't make you a TERF. Please stop shaming women for not liking it. It's gross. Now, that might seem like you're not being a TERF, but what you're implying there is because trans women have male parts, that they can't be lesbians because they're not real women. But yeah, I would just read your comments and listen to your, trans audience. They're telling you it's wrong, so that's just what it is. It's wrong. We as cis people don't get to decide what is incorrect to say to trans people. That's just how it is.
My intentions weren't to invalidate trans women in the slightest. My only intent was to say that having a genital preference is okay. So when I saw that tweet, it just reminded me of all the straight men in my life who have tried to make me straight or who have invalidated me, if that makes sense. And as for he, him lesbians, I've tried to understand it. I've tried to wrap my head around it. It doesn't make sense to me, but that does not mean I wouldn't use proper pronouns, because pronouns are not up for debate. And I think that just goes without saying. And as for using the wrong terms to describe genitalia, it was an honest mistake. I had no clue that that wasn't acceptable. In a video, I even asked in the comments what other terms I could use. If I had known that that wasn't okay, I wouldn't have used it, but nobody told me. Please stop punishing me for my ignorance. Please stop telling me to commit suicide. This apology is for the trans community. If you're not trans, don't accept it. I'm deeply sorry.
Hey, this is Benjamin Boyce, and I just wanted to perform a bit of internet asshattery. That is, there's a bit of internet asshattery that I want to perform for you, as though it were a script. This is from Gay Ass Little Frog, or Lytle Frog, at Twink Genders. It was published 22 hours ago, which would be yesterday. And right now it's Sunday at 9:21 a.m. on August the 16th. Gay Ass Lytle Frog wrote, "Hate to break it to you, but genital preferences are influenced by cisnormativity, whether you like it or not. We're conditioned from birth to associate penises with men and vaginas with women. That's not something that just magically goes away without significant effort to unlearn it. Well, it would take a significant amount of effort to divorce the light that floods the day from the burning ball of gaseous plasma that we call the sun. It would take significant amount of effort to separate those two things from each other. Many things are like this in the world. Before immediately going on the defensive about this, consider why you might have a certain genital preference. For a lot of people, especially cis people, it's because you still subconsciously gender people's bodies based on their genitalia and or secondary sex characteristics. How else would you gender somebody's body other than the gender of that body? Maybe as an idea of what gender is that doesn't have to do with sex characteristics. Let's find out. I'm not saying that having a genital preference inherently makes you a bad person. I'm saying that, like all preferences related to dating and sex, they don't exist in a vacuum. seriously, consider how they're influenced by racism, colorism, transphobia, ableism, fatphobia, etc. So it seems to be the case that gay-ass little frog is reducing all forms of preference to prejudice. It's certainly the case that it is a related phenomena, that you decide on one thing over another thing because of some sort of bias. That's the way that human beings with a limited amount of time and resources and a certain amount of intentionality decide to choose what they invest their time in doing. And some of that investment comes down to whether or not one enjoys or finds compelling the attainment of interaction with one set of genitalia rather than another set of genitalia. But it doesn't necessarily devolve into some form of bigotry. There might be something innate about preferences when it comes to dating and sex. But he has a different idea. Let's see if he explains it. Most of us likely have certain preferences influenced by societal bigotry. Really? Where'd you get that from, gay-ass little frog? The way to address this is to actively investigate and unlearn these ingrained thought processes which lead us to have these preferences, not pretend like it's completely harmless, because it isn't. So this is the full circle, right? There was these evangelical Christians who wanted to pray the gay away and convert homosexually tending people away from homosexuality and towards heterosexuality, right? And that was called conversion therapy. Then that was made illegal, and society, broadly speaking, decided, consciously and unconsciously, and just the way in which society does things, who knows how, to accept the homosexual as somebody who just has their own thing that they want in life, right? Which has to do with being attracted to a similar sex. Now, the LGBT community that had championed that acceptance of the homosexual has continued down that path of acceptance and is now denigrating the homosexual and saying, well, your preferences are actually bigoted in and of themselves. You should give us what we want, which is access to your genitals, regardless of your preferences. You should unlearn your preferences to be accepting of those who want to, mac upon thee. So they've gone all the way back toward the hard right conversion therapy, but they're packaging it within language of acceptance rather than language of, societal norms that the Christians had forwarded. This is the right way and that's the wrong way. To quote them, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, right? Like some sort of value judgment about some sort of natural cause or whatever arguments that they had. Now, those arguments are swapped out with arguments that are using the language of inclusivity. To continue, gay-ass Lytle Frog writes, our preferences are almost always influenced by desirability politics. The pattern of this argument is that instead of defining any given term, he just moves on to another term, and he does this chain link of association. Now we're talking about desirability politics. He's not an accomplished writer, or they. Shoot, I should have checked their bio, because you wonder what is a they, them, or they, he. Okay, so they, he. 20, and then a Jewish communist, dumb of ass, trans of gender, father of baby biopete. All right, so probably a female. Our preferences are almost always influenced by desirability politics. As they exist currently, these standards consider black, darker-skinned, disabled, fat, and trans people as less desirable. Most of us are aware of how this manifests in media and other public spheres, but prefer to not think about how it manifests in our own personal preferences, because it forces us to acknowledge some uncomfortable truths. Unwillingness to acknowledge this only reinforces to the social and institutional factors that uphold these types of bigotry. So in the end, this person isn't going to have a leg to stand on, because if everything that is preferential is bigoted, then even them saying that something is bigoted is a value judgment in and of itself, and is, just acting out some sort of institutional bigotry. They would probably say that their institutional bigotry is better, and every other form of institutional bigotry is worse, but if it all devolves into any sort of preference is a prejudice, then people will become more and more extreme in their prejudices, especially if they are being assaulted, and then being accused of racism also. You're saying, well, you're racist as well. So I don't think that this stuff necessarily plays out, and this gay-ass Lytle frog did get somewhat ratioed. But it's just an interesting phenomena that goes to say that, yeah, it is a current thought within a certain contingent of society, hyper-online folks that want to, pray the gay away, but not pray anymore, kind of just shame the gay away, or, shame the cis away too. They want to have complete access to the bodies that they desire, but they don't really understand that if it all comes down to power, the majority wins, and they themselves are destabilizing the tolerance project by pushing it too far and not respecting other people's boundaries. All right, I have to get ready for an interview. Bye.
What are you gonna do? You gonna go back under there? There she is. Wow, you made it. Good work. All right, you want to go back? Bijou. Bijou. Oh, there you are.